Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at George from, well, I guess what looks to be Series 1 of NECA's revamped Gremlins line, which will include the mogwai. When I originally saw the, I guess the images of these just on display at, I think it was San Diego Comic-Con 2011, I thought it was just like a sort of addition to whatever they had for a standard line, not some sort of an offshoot or anything, but, kind of is what it is. The other selection includes Lenny, Mohawk, Combat, and Normal Gizmos, as well as Daffy. However, the only ones I've seen in stores so far, and I believe these ones down here at the bottom aren't going to be available just quite yet, are the Gizmo, George, and Lenny, of which I picked up the George and Lenny. Now I guess the sort of gimmick to this is that the eyes can turn when you rotate a dial. But considering the fact that these are somewhat smaller figures than their previous Gremlins entries, and their previous Gremlins figures were only $10 versus $12 for these, it's still kind of weird. But I mean, the price might alternate or change or whatever. Hold on a second while I get him out of pack. Out of box, George looks even cuter. And as always, it's just kind of odd that, I have my whole lighting rig and stuff there, and both mogwais and gremlins were extremely sensitive to light. Now, as mentioned as the package, the big gimmick here is the eye rollers, which, it's kind of silly that they sculpted him in this really squinting position so you can't even see the eyes. Well, you can make it out a little bit, but just for a quick demonstration, here's Lenny. Now the big problem with the whole eye roller system is the eyes occasionally seem to get stuck and then one will be out of sync, but if you go all the way in one direction, it seems to kind of fix the issue, and the eyes are kind of cute. Of course, George here is always stuck in a sort of accusing stance. I absolutely adore his little grimace here. Very superbly done figure. Only issue is that, between them, the paint will kind of be messed up depending which one you see on the shelf or anything, but that's just kind of typical NECA. One of the cooler elements of this is they even have ear articulation. I mean, look at that. Get a full range of rotation in addition to some side and back. That just really adds so much to the figure. And I have to say that I probably enjoy that a little bit more than the whole eye roller system. Other than that, there is a pretty good amount of articulation for a figure like this. You'll notice that he has these really crazy looking armpits. That's so the arms can sort of stand flash to the body when, the arms are at his side. In addition to that, we also have this sort of, I guess it's kind of an elbow joint where you get a full range of rotation in addition to a very tiny amount of forward and back. At the hands, same joint, same issue, it's just impeded due to sculpt. Head has this really ridiculous range of motion, which is really cool. Of course, you can see this little rod or whatever that connects it, but you get some amount of forward back here in addition to a full range of rotation. No really full looking up poses though. Down the leg, we don't have any, by the way, no waist articulation or anything, but you can kind of guess that. This is sort of a downside. Although we have articulation, you can kind of see the joint there, and you kind of don't want that joint to be visible, so it kind of limits the posability in that regard. Now, these figures are a bit on the smaller side. Previously, when NECA did a gizmo for the other line, I believe it came up a little bit taller than this. I mean, I guess either way it's kind of in good scale with a gremlin, especially because I think George was a bit shorter in the mogwai form anyway. Let me quickly pull on Lenny. But just keep in mind that the mohawk here stands at about 8 inches tall. And by the way, for those of you completely unfamiliar with the Gremlins franchise, these small cute guys become these big green guys if they eat at the wrong time of day. Now, quick little bit of background on the character of George, and actually Lenny as well. They are in fact named for the characters from John Steinbeck's novel of Mice and Men. Kind of explains why we have sort of short, rough guy, as well as the tall, sort of doofy, good-natured one. I personally didn't make that connection until relatively recently when I was just looking at the names for these characters, and you know, something about it just sort of jogged my memory, but I looked it up. Apparently this is the case. But these characters are two of the first 4 mogwai spawned, part of the eponymous new batch. From Gizmo after he gets soaked by a water fountain or something. Because, you know, that's how reproduction works with these, which makes the whole female gremlin kind of weird, but you have to remember that she drank some syrup or anything, so she's the Smurfette of, you know, the gremlin world. I'm actually not sure what their whole fascination with them, because they don't have any normal reproductive means other than the whole getting soaked thing. But hey, whatever. Both of these characters conspire with Mohawk and Daffy to, you know, lock up Gizmo, and then they eat after hours, and all 4 end up turning into gremlins. I won't spoil when these characters die, but, you know, the Gremlins movies, all the gremlins always end up dying. Now, the figure comes with an insert here. One of the cooler things that NECA happens to do is they give credit to their artists, which, you know, some Western lines really don't. And these sculpts for, well, for George, and both George and Lenny actually were done by Jason Fraley. By the way, you know, if I'm mispronouncing their name, whatever. The paint was done by John Wardell, yeah. And then also Jeffrey Trapp. Now I have to take a, you know, beef here with Chris Longo, who did the packaging, because honestly the packaging sucks. I mean, other than the insert, it's just this really incredibly generic, ugly packaging. But in all other regards, you know, these are really nice figures, and for 12 bucks, you know, I guess it is kind of worth it, especially because, you know, if you're a fan of the franchise and everything, you've probably waited quite a while to get, you know, some really decent figures for these characters, and, you know, this is about as decent as they could possibly get. And you know, completely, well, mostly satisfied with these, other than the whole issue with the eyes on George, which I think is kind of silly that you give these guys roller eyes and everything, and then you can't see the stupid things. But I mean, it's just a really superb looking figure, and, you know, it just evokes memories from my childhood when I had these smaller versions of them that didn't have any articulation or anything. But yeah, you know, it's just completely awesome that we have companies like NECA going back and doing all this stuff, and apparently they have quite a few Gremlins items coming down the line, so a ton to look forward to, possibly even by the end of this year. I don't know. But this has been a look at George. I'm definitely giving this figure 2 thumbs up. Yeah, I'm giving it a rating. I don't really give ratings, but I really like this one. And, you know, I can't wait to pick up the Mohawk and also the Rambo Gizmo, and, you know, come to think of it, also Daffy. These all look pretty great, except for the first Gizmo. But, you know, just a huge, vast improvement over the really ugly-looking Gizmo, which was the only mogwai that really had for the previous incarnation in this line. But yeah, until next time, folks.